Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to Scott Township Fire Hall. Dan was a lifetime member here and also fire chief when I first joined. At this time, I'm going to turn the program over to Jim Connors, he's still one of our members, and legislative assistants for the local Lawrence County ABATE. He will be the MC for tonight.
Thank you, Jack. Welcome, everybody. This is a very joyous day for all of us. This is something that took a long time to get here, and there were a lot of ups and downs to do this. So welcome to Scott Township Fire Hall, and like Jack said, Dan was a fire chief at one time when I first met him when I joined the fire department, and he was an EMT here for several years. Special thanks to Governor Wolf for showing up into Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and Representative Gibbons for his diligence on all the hard work that he's done over the years to get this bill over the hump. At this time, I'd like to recognize a few groups here that Dan was very involved with, and some people that were very involved with this tragic accident and what happened. Again, thank Jack Hitchin, Fire Chief, and all the members of the fire department. Very well done. I know you love Dan dearly. Big Bob Russell, President of ABATE, and all the members of Lawrence County ABATE. I'd also like to mention Charles Umbenauer, who is the Chief State Lobbyist for ABATE of PA, and all of the members from the state that are here to represent ABATE of PA. The American Motorcycle Association, and personally, I'd like to thank Judge Craig Cox. The day of the hearing, one of the last things that Judge Cox said was he sends this woman to the stiffest penalty that he could, and that this would take a legislative fix to correct it so that enforcement could be stronger. And so I want to recognize Judge Cox for that. I'd also like to recognize Assistant District Attorney Bill Flannery, who's here today with us, Attorney Dallas Hartman and his staff. We have Doug Alcott and Susan Ches here with us. And another big part of Dan's life was the Newcastle Military Honor Guard that are here today in uniform in respect to Dan, that loved this career and his military career in the Honor Guard.
Can you all stand up, please, so we can give you a round of applause?
Before we get started with the speakers, I think it's absolutely a great idea that we have a prayer, especially for the amount of work and the prayers were answered to get this over the hump. And I would ask Rich Shira to do the blessing.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for walking us through this. We thank you for getting us to this moment. And we thank you for those in all the different groups and down in Harrisburg that came alongside us to get to where we're at. Heavenly Father, we ask that through this tragedy, this day be made possible and Dan's memory kept alive through all the other people that he's about to help. And Heavenly Father, we ask your blessings upon all of us as we drive our highways, that this law makes it better for all of us. And Heavenly Father, we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Rich. Very appropriate. At this time, I would like to introduce Michelle Gallatin Bachman, Dan's daughter.
Wow, this is impressive. We're here today to celebrate the life of my father, Dan Gallatin, and the law named in his honor, Daniel's Law. Let me give you a little bit of background about my dad and how we got where we are today. My dad was a Bell Telephone Verizon employee for 30 years before he retired. He was a member of the Mahoning Lodge and the American Legion. He was a lifetime member of the Scott Township Volunteer Fire Department and the Harlansburg Presbyterian Church. He was also a very proud member of the Newcastle Area Honor Guard. He was a brother, a friend, a father, a grandfather, and husband. My dad was a lot of things to a lot of people, but he was everything to me. On May 7th, 2013, my dad was on his way to my house to start getting the garden ready. I put in a big garden every year, and every year we're behind, but every year he helps me without complaint. Whether it was because of the weather, technical difficulties, or whatever, we never got the garden started as early as we wanted to. That year the weather was nice early, and we were going to get things done early for once. Since the weather was beautiful, my dad was riding his motorcycle. As he was turning into my driveway, he was rear-ended by a woman driving a Toyota Sequoia. She hit him from behind and dragged his bike almost 100 feet before coming to a complete stop. The woman that killed my dad was texting while driving. She was paying more attention to the messages on her phone than what was going on the road in front of her. As a result, a beloved member of our family and community was taken from us. Ultimately, the woman that killed my dad was charged with numerous offenses: homicide by vehicle, involuntary manslaughter, aggravated assault by vehicle, reckless driving, careless driving, and prohibiting text-based communications. It took almost 1 full year for her to be sentenced and convicted. When it was all said and done, she was sentenced to 9 to 23.5 months jail and various fines, fees, and restitution. She was permitted to petition the court for work release after 60 days, and it was granted. So that means that this woman ended up serving only 60 days in jail for taking my father's life. I don't think 60 days jail for taking a life under any circumstances is sufficient punishment. Texting while driving actually became illegal in Pennsylvania in March of 2012. Statistics show that texting while driving makes a person 23 times more likely to crash. 23 times. It's just crazy. A text can take your eyes away from the road for 5 seconds, which is enough time for you to travel the length of a football field. 1,200 people are injured each day because of distracted drivers, and at least 8 people die every day at the hands of a distracted driver. Sadly, those numbers are increasing each and every day. It's time people become accountable for their actions. My family and I have been working to make changes to the laws in Pennsylvania for the last 2.5 years. We reached out to Jaret Gibbons after we went through the sentencing. We told him the circumstances of my dad's death and why we thought changes to the laws were needed. He listened to our story. He actually listened and agreed with us and offered to help. After months of research and hard work by everyone involved, a new bill was introduced in March of 2015 called Daniel's Law. The law calls for changes to the current laws, making the sentencing guidelines more strict when there is serious injury or death caused in a crash by someone that is texting while driving or driving distracted. At this time, we can finally say Daniel's Law made it through the House and the Senate and is now awaiting Governor Wolf's signature. Woo-hoo! Needless to say, it's been a long, hard road full of blood, sweat, and many, many tears. I said this at the rights rally in Harrisburg in June, and I'll say it again. Never in a million years did I think that my dad's life would be taken in my front yard. Never in a million years did my family and I think that we would have to deal with my dad's death 5 months before my wedding. Never in a million years did we actually think that a politician would give us the time of day to listen to our story and then actually help us make the changes that needed to be made. Never in a million years when we started our letter writing campaign did we think our journey would take us to Harrisburg, where a bill would be named in his honor. Never in a million years did we think we would get this far, and now here we are, the governor of Pennsylvania, waiting for him to sign Daniel's Law. And here we are with all of you that have supported us through this journey. We have so many people to thank. I saw you earlier. I don't know where you went, but George Brady, if it wasn't for you, we never would have taken this step to reach out to ABATE. You were the one that gave us the push and put us in the right direction. For that, we appreciate and love you. ABATE of Lawrence County, all of the officers and members, including Bob Russell, Jim Connor, Rick Shira, I could name all of you, Sandra, Keith, Jamie, Bill, Kathy, I mean, the list goes on. We're forever grateful. All of the local ABATE chapters, I could never remember them all individually across the state, but Beaver, Mercer, Venango, Butler, Clarion, Mason-Dixon, Blue Mountain, Lancaster, Westmoreland. There are too many to list, but we love and appreciate each one of you. Also, the American Motorcycle Association, specifically Sean Hudson for his guidance on the law and Jim Witters for doing a wonderful story on my dad and the dangers of distracted driving. Ernie Copper and the Thunder Press, also for doing 2 wonderful articles on my dad and the dangers of distracted driving. If it wasn't for you sharing our story, people wouldn't be aware. ABATE of Pennsylvania and Charlie Obenhauer, we thank you for listening to our story, supporting us, and most importantly, lobbying for us in Harrisburg and for us and our cause in Harrisburg. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Governor Wolf, thank you for believing that our legislation was worthy of your signature and actually be willing to sign it into law. We're so appreciative. And last but not least, Jaret Gibbons. Thank you for listening to the story of 2 angry Italian women and not being the least bit afraid. Thanks also goes to everyone here. Whether you bought a Daniel's Law t-shirt, a hoodie, whether you put up a Daniel's Law yard sign, a helmet sticker, a bumper sticker, a door sign, whatever it was. Whether you listened to us cry throughout our journey and held our hands along the way or made us laugh. We appreciate all of you more than you will ever know. Let's not dwell on the circumstances of my Dad's death. Let's celebrate his beautiful life and all of the lives that will be saved because of Daniel's Law. Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful statement from a young lady that would have never got up in front of a crowd, and I give Michelle, I've seen her do this speech many times, and I am so proud of her, and I know her dad would be very joyous. Next, for a few words, we're going to have Dan's son, Brian. Brian lives in Virginia. And I'm getting older, I can't remember. But he lives in Virginia. And Brian, if you'd like to say a few words, glad to have you here. Thanks.
Oh, it's a pretty crazy turnout. You know, it's like Michelle said, it's been a long time coming. You know, there's a lot of people here that have put a lot of effort in, you know, like Michelle said with ABATE, Representative Gibbons. You know, guys in the fire department have been friends with my dad since I was a little kid. You know, family, friends, the honor guard, he would call me every weekend. You know, he just loved being in the honor guard. He thought that was the greatest thing, he could do a little bit and give back. You know, I want to thank Jim and all the work he's done. You know, even though he's part of the family, even though he's not blood, he is part of our family. The fire department, they're all family. You know, I think the crazy thing is Dad would be, I think he'd be crazy embarrassed by the turnout and, you know, all the effort that everybody's put in. You know, that's just the way he was. He was a crazy humble guy. But on the other hand, he would be so proud of everybody for all the work that they've done and all the effort they put in. And you know, I am too. I'm so appreciative, and my family's appreciative, and you know, all the work that my mom and sister have done here in Pennsylvania, and all of you have done. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Very true words, very true words. At this time, I'd like to introduce Representative Jaret Gibbons. I've known Jaret for several years, long before this accident ever happened. I've worked with Jaret on other issues. But I want to congratulate you on this piece of legislation. I want to thank you deeply for all of the work and effort that you put forth for this. It's a very proud day for all of us. It should be a very proud day for Pennsylvania. And I believe this will be a precedent-setting piece of legislation that many other states will look at, and they will reconsider what they're doing with texting and driving. So, Representative Gibbons.
Well, thank you, Jim, and thank all of you for joining us here today on what is both a very happy and a very somber occasion for all of us. Today we honor the life of a man who, as we heard, he was a father, husband, grandfather, a very active citizen in our local community. He was a judge of elections right here in Scott Township. He was a firefighter and fire chief right here in this department, a member of the Honor Guard, and just somebody who was very active in the community and we know is greatly missed by this community. We're here to recognize his family and his friends who have really worked hard to make something positive come out of this horrible tragedy and his untimely death due to another person's unsafe decision to text while driving. After 2 years of hard work, we're finally here to see Daniel's Law become the law here in Pennsylvania. I wish a law like this wasn't necessary. Sadly, the unnecessary death of Dan Gallatin in 2013 made this something that we desperately need to accomplish. Dan was lost too soon. The decision to text while driving and that led to his the accident that took his life, where he was rear-ended on his motorcycle, these things don't need to happen. According to PennDOT, in 2015, there were 66 fatalities in this state, unnecessary fatalities caused by distracted driving, and more than 300 in the last 5 years, including Dan Gallatin. Upon the sentencing, we heard that Judge Cox commented that the severity of the texting while driving laws needed to be changed. And finally today, we accomplished that. With Governor Wolf's signature, we will change those laws as Judge Cox suggested, as all of us have fought to do. We all know that distracted driving can have serious consequences, and nobody knows that more than the Gallatin family. In the time it takes to read a text message, we heard, your vehicle can travel the length of a football field. A football field. What can happen in that time? A motorcycle can slow down. A child can run into the road. So many things can happen that can lead to these horrible consequences. The studies have shown this is just as dangerous as drunk driving, yet the penalties are so much stiffer there. And prior to this, unfortunately, we're so weak in this area. The carelessness needs to end. And it's my hope that the awareness we're creating with this law, along with the increased penalty for texting while driving accidents, will help to prevent another senseless loss of life from ever happening. When the Gallatin family came to me, along with Jim, after the loss, and asked me what can be done to help prevent texting while driving, as they said, a couple of angry Italian women coming to see me, and my mother's here, and my aunt, a couple of angry Italian women, so I'm kind of used to it. So it didn't scare me. Growing up in Elwood City, so with a big Italian family, but what it did was it inspired me to go to work and to write Daniel's Law. Our desire was to find a way to prevent these senseless losses of life from happening. And we wanted to make sure that anyone who makes the tragic mistake to text while driving and harms or kills someone, the consequences would be in line with the grievous nature of that decision. I just want to thank a few people myself. Certainly I want to thank Governor Wolf for taking the time to come out and join us today. I think the governor knows how important this is to this community and to all of you. and how hard all of us worked, and that he took the time out of his schedule to come and join us to show this community how important this is for all of us. We certainly thank him for that. I want to thank ABATE as well. Certainly, Charlie Ummenauer, Jim, the local group, Big Bob, all these guys who have, came to Harrisburg, have lobbied. They went, office to office, talking to my colleagues, pushing this along with the family, with Michelle, who came up and spoke several times at rallies in the Rotunda, to make sure that people knew how important this was. Their tireless efforts in advocating this law are a big part of why we're here today. And finally, I just have to thank the Gallatin family for allowing me the opportunity to work with them and for bringing this to me, because this needed to be done. And if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have gotten here. No words can say how much I feel bad for your loss. I didn't get to know Dan, and that's my loss, and all the other people who never got to know Dan. But I hope that you and all of us can take some solace in at least knowing that all of our efforts to pass Daniel's law after today will make this a safer Pennsylvania on our roads. So I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank you for your efforts, and certainly I want to say to everybody out there who might be listening, put down the phones, don't text and drive, and make sure we all arrive alive. So thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Well done. Very well done. Well, we've almost reached that pinnacle of the time, and I will tell you that it's really a distinct honor for me to introduce to you the Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Governor Tom Wolf.
Please, thank you very much. This is one of those occasions that requires a lot of thank yous, and I have two specific ones that I want to give to you on behalf of the people of Pennsylvania. First of all, thank you for this law. This is actually an important thing, not just for, this is a very personal thing. This is important for everybody in this Commonwealth. And I really appreciate the hard work that you did to make this good piece of legislation work. The Gallatin family, Representative Gibbons. By the way, you have one of the best representatives in Harrisburg working for you. And Jim Connor, thank you for your hard work on this too. So thank you for good legislation. In Harrisburg, they number all the bills. It's either House Bill this or Senate Bill that. This is House Bill, 2025. Everybody knows it as Daniel's Law, and that's what's going to be known as from here on in. So thank you for that. The second thing is I want to thank you for making democracy work. This is the way it works. You have a good idea, you bring it to your representatives, and it turns into something that actually saves lives and makes people's lives better. That's what you did here. So you not only have a better piece of legislation, but you reinforce the idea that what we do, what you do, really makes a difference. And I want to thank you for that. So again, I am proud to be here to sign this into law so that people will not have to go through what the Gallatin family went through. That terrible, tragic death. That did not happen, and it doesn't have to happen. We can do something about it. Daniel was a father, a grandfather, a husband, a firefighter for 40 years. And we cannot afford to lose good people like that under any circumstance. And if there's something we can do about it, we need to do that. And that's what we did, and that's what we're going to do with this bill. Daniel was a victim of needless, distracted driving, which since the advent of more technology available to use personally and in our vehicles has become all too common. I would imagine there's not one person in this room who has not seen at least one example of distracted driving, people who were texting while driving. It's happening all over the place. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, distracted driving is on the rise, as Michelle pointed out. In 2012, 3,000 328 deaths were caused by distracted driving nationwide. That's deaths. 421,000 people were injured by distracted drivers. Here in Pennsylvania, more than 14,800 crashes in 2015 alone were caused by this practice, and I think you said, Jaret, 66 deaths in Pennsylvania. This behavior, which has been allowed to go unpunished, actually underpunished for too long, has been demonstrated to be just as dangerous as drunk driving. Distracted driving has fatal, irreversible, and grave consequences. And one of its main causes, texting while driving, encompasses the three most prevalent types of distracted driving: taking a driver's eyes off the road, hands off the wheel, and attention away from what they're doing. All those things are inherent in texting. Daniel's Law attempts to bring the punishment for this offense in line with the seriousness of the possible consequences. And I say that, but is there any real way that you can bring the consequences of texting in line with the loss that this family and this community felt? I don't think there is. But the idea is to make our roads and highways safer for citizens in the future and for everyone using them. Under this legislation, a sentencing enhancement of up to 5 years will be allowed for any judge in the case of a death that was caused by texting while driving, or up to 2 years where an accident results in serious bodily injury. We must make sure that our drivers are aware of the dangers and consequences of distracted driving. And that's why I'd like to take this chance to remind you of the several ways I can't avoid this opportunity to talk to about how we can avoid distractions while we're driving. Store or turn off your cell phone. Don't even keep it on while you're driving. And pull over to the side of the road to make calls in case of emergencies. Set your GPS, radio, and temperature controls before you begin your trip. Don't do that while you're trying to drive. Restrain all your pets. Don't let them be a distraction while you're driving. Never operate your vehicle and attend to children at the same time. And if you drop something while you're driving, just leave it where it is. As we say in York County, leave it be. These practices can lead to safer driving and save lives on our highways and our roads. And I'm proud to sign this legislation into law because for our citizens to be safe while traveling, we must ensure that we are doing everything we can to curb dangerous driving behaviors like distracted driving, and especially texting while driving. I want to thank Michelle. I want to thank you for sharing your family's story and for your bravery in working toward getting this legislation passed. And Brian, thank you for the words that you shared with us. Jim Connor for ABATE, thank you very much for your dedication to the safety of bikers and motorists on all of our roadways. And also I want to thank again Jaret Gibbons, Representative Gibbons, for his dedication to this cause, for championing this needed legislation and in Pennsylvania. For him, for the family, for Jim, for all of you, I'm happy to be here. This is truly a great accomplishment for motorists across the Commonwealth. It's a great accomplishment for everybody who lives in Pennsylvania and who wants to have safer highways. Working together, we can work to assure that Daniel Gallatin is remembered, and no more families will lose loved ones to this senseless and reckless practice. Thank you very much. Now,
Thank you, Governor. And though we mourn Dan's death, today is a day to celebrate his life. And don't ever forget that. And this bill does exactly that. It celebrates the life of Daniel Gallatin. Thank you. There are cookies and there is cake. So, and they're Italian. So we got it all here. So again, stay for cookies, cake, coffee. And again, Governor Whoop, thank you so much for signing this piece of legislation.
thanks for having me here.
Grateful. Thank you.
You know where they're put together, don't you? Yeah. Harley's, York, Pennsylvania.
Right down the road. Thanks for coming. That was cool.